Okay.
Found my Surface Pro 3 with a flat battery this morning. I suspect it didn't go to sleep when it should have done.
Okay, link is out. Recorder's on. Jason, good evening.
Good evening, Ian. How are you?
Okay, good. And I suppose we better get this out of the way now. After doing this show for, what, I don't know how long you've been on the show now, 6 years, something like that, maybe even more.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how long I've been on it.
We'll have
Has
to
it
work it
really
out.
been that?
It's been a while.
Yeah, I think it was TDL Mobile before that, and then
Yeah. Well, after all that time, I think you mentioned football twice in those years.
yes.
I thought like you get it out of the way tonight.
A certain team has won the Premiership with odds
Yes.
of 5,000 to 1.
Yes.
I'm very happy about that.
Yes.
Especially since I think we beat a team, well, nearly beat a team, drew with a team local to you.
Yes, but
at the weekend.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure though because I don't really pay attention that much to that. But,
yes, believe me, I've been paying attention for the last few weeks.
Oh, that's very good. I'm very pleased for you. I bet you wish you put a few quid on.
Yes, I certainly do. Yes, watching people cash in bets of 100k, I think one of them was. So, yes, I wasn't quite that confident, but yes.
Oh, well, that's very good. So,
I think Gabe should have given me a new build to help me celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, come on, we've this build situation is getting pretty poor, isn't it? I've not had a build for nearly a week.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I did wonder actually whether or not we would be a bit slower with your builds because if they're doing this bug bash thing,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the same build, so I suspect there'll be a bit of a break for a while.
Yeah, I would have thought so because they're just they want to get these bugs tested on this build, I would imagine, unless they found anything that's particularly breaks, but I don't think they have. So I think, I think they'll sit with this build for a while, and
yes,
we'll get another build when this bug bash is finished. But we have got plenty of other things to talk about other than football. We've got. I wanted to talk to you about Intel and their change of policy for mobile and small devices. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that seems to come out of the blue.
Yeah, Dropbox. We've got some new sort of rumors of Redstone 2 and 3 now, and Surface Phone, and we've got new Facebook apps as well. So let's start off with this Intel story. Now, I don't know how much of this you've seen.
I've read a bit about it. I mean, it was certainly unexpected, I think, probably not necessarily people in the know, but because I know there was a lot of talk around obviously the Surface Phone potentially being having an Intel chip inside it, and also the possibility of kind of the Intel chips really bringing kind of continuum alive with the possibility of those phones running x86 apps. And also, I think more widely, we've seen more and more atoms, to use Gary's famous phrase. It's not your grandfather's atom.
Yeah.
The Atom processor. If we go back to the old netbooks, where the performance was kind of pretty mediocre, but somehow I know I did kind of put up with it and convince myself that it was a really great experience. But more modern devices, we've got the Surface. I'm trying to think, Surface 4 has an Atom chip, doesn't it? I think.
Well, there is no
Surface 3. Sorry.
Surface 3. Yeah.
Sorry, Surface 3. Sorry. Yeah. I think the lower end of those have got the Atom processor, and obviously, a lot of the tablets you can get in like places like Tesco's and Argos, and some of the tablets that Gary talks about, also run into Intel Atom chips, and so the performance really has come on leaps and bounds. But one thing I wasn't completely clear on is, are they actually dropping the Atom chip, or are they just kind of abandoning this next generation in favour of something further down the line?
I was reading an Antec post, which I'll include a link in the show notes because it is quite complicated, but they've got a little chart that says that the 2016 chipset, the Goldmont chipset, the Broxton version of that has been cancelled, and that is the smartphone version.
Mhm.
And then Willow Trail has been cancelled, which is the tablet version, but there'll still be Apollo Lake for netbooks. And I think it's Apollo Lake that would be maybe in a Surface, a low-end Surface, but not Willow Trail, which is what people are expecting them to go in there. And I think
Mhm.
I think the HoloLens uses an Atom chip as well. So I don't know
Yes,
what.
yeah, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, so I don't know what version of chip or what version they're going to run. I did see that somebody who said it's a possibility that they'll have a custom-made system on a chip device based on the Apollo Lake, perhaps, or the Goldmont chipset. But I thought it was interesting that, first of all, like exactly as you said, the Atom processor has been getting better and better, and has started to show up on a few devices, a few phones. And one of the rumors about the Surface phone was it would have an Atom, or not necessarily an Atom, but an Intel chipset that would be assumed to be the Atom in there. I think Lenovo had a couple of Atom powered phones as well, didn't they, that ran Android?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly raises the question of whether or not we might see a return of kind of Windows RT. Small Windows tablets run ARM processors now without an Intel option. Whether or not that would be kind of Windows 10 mobile, which is no reason why it couldn't run on bigger screens. Certainly the UI with the Universal Windows platform, that would expand across all different devices. But so yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see an ARM-powered Surface 4.
Yeah, maybe. That was I was thinking. Surface 4, the natural chipset for that would be the Atom processor. And does that mean that maybe there won't be a Surface 4, and that Microsoft have looked at how the Surface range has been doing, and they're now going to concentrate on the high end? So we'll get a Surface Pro 5, maybe later this year, probably. Or maybe, I think actually the rumours about that going to next year, weren't they? In like with Redstone 2. So maybe we'll get a Surface Book 2 and a Surface Pro 5 that will be whatever the next, I don't know what the next chipset is. Actually, I forgot what it is. A Silver Lake is what they're on now, isn't it? I got confused on them.
Yeah, I used to be so up on
Yeah.
chips and stuff, but not when I used to build my own PCs. But yeah, I'm completely out of touch now. I kind of know the general, Atom and Core i3s and whatnot, but not down to their kind of code names.
Easier when it was either a 386SX or a 360,
Yeah.
486SX25 or a 486DX. Easy to remember.
With the turbo button on the outside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the SX was without the maths coprocessor.
Yes. Yeah, I remember. I think my first PC I built was a DX266. I think.
Yes, I had one of those. Yeah, with the turbo button. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I once it got once it got to the core range, that's when things got really complicated, I think.
Yes, yeah, I think that's about the time I stopped building my own PCs. I think.
Yeah.
I think it was Core 2 Duo was the last PC I built.
Yeah. So I think whatever the next generation of i7 or i5 will be what powers the next Surface Book and the next Surface Pro, and whether there'll even be a consumer. Technically, I suppose you call the Surface 3 a consumer device, because it is already effectively out of date, isn't it? That with the Surface 3 should have had a replacement by now. We thought, when did it launch that?
That was, I think it was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was last year. So I think it's over a year now, isn't it, since the Surface 3 launched?
Yeah, and I think on the one hand, Microsoft do need a lower end Surface device. The Surface Pro devices are quite pricey, but at the same time, the OEMs have started to fill in that kind of lower specs, lower priced tablet and two-in-one. So it may well be that Microsoft might decide that actually, like you say, they don't need to offer a Surface 4 anymore, and that they'll concentrate on the Surface Book and the Surface Pro devices as more kind of premium business type devices.
And just looking at the post, they say that Intel said that Apollo Lake will be offered to tablet manufacturers, and they say at this point it's not clear what the trade-off are versus Willow Trail, and whether the Apollo Lake is suitable for all type of devices that the current generation Cherry Trail has been used in. So I think that's it. Whether the Apollo Lake, the Apollo Lake is a slightly bigger chip chip is designed for higher power consumption devices than Cherry Trail. So maybe they just won't be suitable for really small devices, but 10-inch tablets fine. So maybe that would be the Surface 4 could have that chipset running because it's a larger device.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, the mini kind of devices seem to have fallen by the wayside with the growth of the phablet phones. So yeah, I think. I mean, it would be interesting to see a Surface 4 that's got an ARM chipset in it, running the mobile version. But then, of course, you kind of run into the issue of the whole apps, and unless that situation is solved, either be, kind of app V virtualization or some kind of, inbuilt solution. It's difficult to see how that device would be any more successful than the Surface RT and Surface 2 was.
Yeah, because when it's a consumer device, the first thing that many consumers want to do is install Chrome or iTunes, and that you hit the problem straight away. I think that's what caused the problem with the Surface 2.
Yes, yeah.
And you just don't get that with the Surface 3, even though maybe it's underpowered for some things. The fact that you can just install what you want, then that's fine. But it's interesting that Microsoft have got to make sure. I think they have to make sure that they keep an ARM version of Windows available for the future. It did look at one stage as though that was going to be when the Surface came out originally, that ARM was the future for Windows. Then we went away from that, and I wonder whether that actually is the case, whether ARM still has a big part to play in for Windows devices going forwards, and maybe the Surface phone, if it comes out, when it comes out, will be still ARM based.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think, I suspect that what killed off the Surface RT and Surface 2 devices was, as I say, the app issue. I think if that hadn't have been an issue or it'd been solved, then I think, Windows RT would have had quite a happy future, albeit maybe, morphing into, Windows 10 mobile, but I'm not so sure now. I think it's certainly a massive decision for Intel. I know they've talked that they're going to be concentrating on their kind of 5G chips that they were showing off at I think it was a Consumer Electronics Show, and they were showing off the difference between kind of 4G and 5G. And so, they're still going to be, I guess, system on a chip style. So it may be that just for now they're kind of regrouping with a view of launching something again, maybe skipping a generation.
Yep, that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, it's I mean, like Intel, obviously, Intel and Microsoft's kind of futures are very closely tied together, and I'm sure Intel must be feeling the pinch of the slow decline of the PC market, just as Microsoft have in terms of selling, desktop versions of Windows.
Yeah, that's right. And Intel needs to be across different markets as well, and they can't just focus on the PC market.
No, but I mean, also like Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft hasn't conceded the consumer space in terms of operating systems and consumer devices, but Intel does have a massive part to play in terms of enterprise. Servers, Dell racks, and the likes. In the enterprise space where I play, Intel's still huge.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and there's much more margin in those than there is in an 8-inch tablet.
Yeah, absolutely. And their, heat and efficiency becomes massive. When you've got a huge data center filled with, blades upon blades of servers all racked up, heat and power is really important.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Especially with, ARM have been playing around in the server space. That could also eventually erode away Intel's position in, if you could have racks of servers running ARM chips, which, as we know, so I think the 800 series ARM chips are a bit hot. But generally speaking, historically, the ARM processor has been really efficient, really cool.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think, there's a market that they've got to consider the whole range, and I guess these low cost ARM chips, there's not very much margin in those, and it's probably not a very profitable area for them, and especially because even ARM themselves don't actually make the chips. They license that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly for us as watching the Microsoft and Windows ecosystems, it does potentially raise a doubt around those cheap £100 tablets, whether or not they can whether or not they'll slowly fade away, or whether or not they're fast enough with the current generation that they don't need a replacement immediately. But yeah, so if those tablets have to switch to be Windows on ARM, then they're just, at the moment, they're just not. I mean, Sonos have said they're not going to make an app, and that's just one example that we can get around with it on our x86 because we can install the desktop version. But you certainly wouldn't be able to do that on an ARM tablet, unless, of course, Microsoft will then, which they didn't do with Windows RT, obviously, is allow an invitation only, or a select number of people to recompile their apps for ARM.
Yeah, I wonder whether they. I don't know how technically possible it is to have some kind of abstraction layer to run Win32 apps on ARM. I'm sure. I mean, that's probably that would be the holy grail. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know whether that's inefficient or whether it's even technically possible. But imagine if they got a low cost ARM chip that could run 32-bit application, Win32 applications.
Yeah, I mean, you only have to go back a few years to the Office installs, that when they first started playing around with the Click Once installs that used AppV. I think in the early days you ended up with like an X drive, which was this odd, bizarre map drive to Microsoft services. So, and that's essentially really what HP are doing with the X3 Windows 10 mobile device. So the only downside is that kind of adds the level of complexity. Somebody has to provide the infrastructure, but Microsoft could do that. They could provide an AppV Azure hosted solution for, again, for select software vendors.
Yeah.
The real big downside is obviously that comes down to, you need connectivity, but really we're starting to live in a world where connectivity is just taken for granted, albeit still situations like myself where speed isn't necessarily there. But again, 5G chips, who knows?
And that the other question really is you mentioned before that these small tablets, the 7 and the 8-inch tablets, they haven't really. I mean, you can get some good bargains if you like that kind of device, like I do. I do use my Encore 8 quite often, but they haven't really took off, have they? Those, what we really see from the Windows side is the convertibles, and then upwards, and then like you said, the phablets. So if you want a large device, you've got a large Android device, or you've got the 950 XL or the iPhone 6 Plus, and then you start to see the 10-inch. If you go into PC World or wherever, you see 10-inch ones. So I wonder what's happened with the 10-inch and 7-inch tablets.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly still around, aren't they? There's a few, but I think the other risk with these lower end, low cost devices is, Microsoft have made it clear that they see, inking as being a big part of Windows. Well, the Surface Pro 3 that I've got has got a great writing experience. It is really like writing with a pen on a piece of paper, but that comes through relatively expensive, very thin, kind of a combination of that touch screen and the display and the capacitive screen, and all that technology is not cheap. So can those smaller tablets, maybe performance and also technology wise, kind of compete? Can you make £100 tablet that's performant but also has a great inking experience? Because say that technology is quite expensive to implement properly.
I'm just interested, just browsing here on Amazon. I just got into tablets, and one of the refine options or filter options is by OS, and there are currently listed in the UK one anyway, 7,861 Android tablets.
Blimey.
Yeah, with 865 Windows tablets. And then you've got 123 Fire, 3 WebOS. That's doing well. 2,047 iOS ones. Now that's a lot, isn't it, when you consider that's one manufacturer, and it just shows you the variants that are around now between the various ones. So I bet no one really thinks of having that many iOS tablets around, do you? You think there's the iPad, what you think there's 4, is there, or something? The iPad Mini 4, the Air 2. I suppose you've got the Pro and whatever, but
yeah, there's also all the different storage options. And
yeah, exactly.
But
you wouldn't think there would be 2,047 different SKUs of iOS tablets on Amazon.
No.
But there is anyway. But of those tablets, if I just flick it to use Windows as the filter, there are 33 under 5-inch, 4 between 5 and 6.7, 22 between 7 and 7.9, and then you jump then between 8 and 8.9, 118, and then you start once you get to 10 to 10.9, you're 176. So it's clear there that actually the biggest group is the 10 to 10.9 inch. This is just tablets.
Yeah, although some of those tablets can be kind of 2-in-1s. They might not necessarily come with a keyboard, but the bigger tablets can quite often be kind of 2-in-1 devices.
But there are still 100 and odd tablets in that Atom, effectively Atom-powered tablets on Amazon. And they're all variations of the same thing. I think Lynx 8, Lynx 7, Atom processor, 1 gig of RAM, under or around 100 quid. Look at that. I was just looking there. 66 quid. So there are some good value ones, but yeah, they're all Atom, the Acer and some other brand ones. I don't know, even a HP one there, but all Atom power ones. So it's still a big market. I guess it's just not that profitable market.
No, I mean, the margins must be pretty low down at that price. But yeah, I mean, I know Gary's had used some of these devices, and he's always said that they're very good. And at that sort of price, you can't complain. I mean, a lot of people do say that the really cheap Android devices can tend to be quite sluggish and not a great experience. Whereas I think Windows, because they've been working so hard on optimizing it, does maybe have that advantage.
And if you still want a Surface, not a Surface 2, an original Surface, you can get one there for £299 on Amazon.
Blimey.
I think you sold yours, didn't you?
Yeah, I sold my Surface 2, which went for about £150 in the end.
Yeah,
and that was with a keyboard. So
so it's interesting that I don't. We're gonna find out what happens and see how that happens, and I wonder how it affects Microsoft. I guess they're aware of Intel's plans, like you said earlier. They work closely together anyway, and we'll find out. But I'm interested to see how it affects the Surface phone. Surface phone, and whether that was going to be Atom powered, and whether that is a change, or whether that was never going to be the case, and it would always be, it would always be ARM, or even that Microsoft have got a custom chip with Intel anyway. So that's never an issue anyway.
Yeah, and again, it really depends. What we don't know. In addition to the hardware specs, we don't know what the idea behind the Surface phone is. Will it be a consumer device? Will it be a business device? In which case, Continuum and maybe the ability to run x86 apps might have been more important. But clearly, if as a consumer device, HP have found a solution, so there's no reason why Microsoft couldn't either.
Yeah. Talking of the Surface phone, I noticed Windows Central had a post about the Surface phone, saying that it was due to arrive April 2017 with Windows 10 Mobile Redstone 2. And that really that I think it was Terry Myerson actually he actually issued a statement, didn't he, saying that how they were still behind Windows 10 Mobile and they were still working on it, and that they've got new devices in development of a next generation device anyway that we speculate is called Surface phone. But this phone would come with Redstone 2. And there's a few sort of leaks now coming, details about that. With Redstone 2 will be due next year, and it's tied in with the new range of devices. But whereas Redstone 1 is really about Windows 10 on PCs, Redstone 2 is going to be about mobile devices, and they've played down the mobile effort this year, and as far as consumers are concerned, there's not a big push on anything like that. We've seen new builds coming all the time, but then with Redstone 2 next year, this is where they're really going to start pushing the mobile. And they said they've got the Surface phone, or the next generation phone will be the most secure phone available, and that this will be the time for them to focus on mobile.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting kind of clarification. I think not necessarily much new information. It's kind of what we knew anyway. But yeah, I think Microsoft does need a mobile operating system. It's all well and good them having their apps on Android and iOS, and I understand that they're doing that because that's ultimately where the numbers are. But while Android is a bit of an exception, the only way they can make Cortana exactly what they want it to be will be on a Microsoft device. There's no way that Apple are going to let them integrate Cortana as a replacement for Siri. That's just not going to happen. I think they've managed to do quite a lot with Android in terms of replacing the Hey Google, but it's that's probably as close as they could get to their own system without having their own system. But I do think that Windows 10 Mobile has still got a strong future. You only have to look at the number of devices that were launched running Windows 10 Mobile at CES. They might not necessarily all be Europe or all American, but certainly around the globe, there's a number of new products coming along. So yeah, I just think whether or not, I'm sure there will come a time where they say enough is enough. But for now, I think in order to maximise Cortana and all the Microsoft experiences, that their own operating system is a place to do that.
And I think the article was saying that that the next phone, where be it the Surface phone, will be positioned as the most secure phone in the world and the best for productivity. And Microsoft's all about focusing on productivity at the moment, so that makes sense as well. That the mobile OS would be the mobile productivity device.
Yeah, and certainly, Android does come up time and time again, doesn't it, in terms of security, and I know it's getting better all the time. And I'm not saying that the Windows marketplace is perfect, because I'm sure it's not, but there have been historically lots of stories about apps that have made their way into the Google Play Store that say they do one thing, or actually they're key loggers or network loggers, or basically just picking up your information and disseminating it. So again, Microsoft having their own mobile operating system, they can guarantee, or more closely guarantee, that things are going to be secure.
Yeah, and another thing when they're doing with they're quietly working on the phone, aren't they? That's without a lot of fuss, but the OS is progressing nicely. I mean, when Windows 10 Mobile was released, you could see it was a new OS. I know it's the same as the PC effect, but it's a new platform almost, with the universal apps, and gradually it's getting better and better. And these current Redstone builds, that while not really quite stable enough ready for me to use as a daily driver, it does feel a bit like you've experienced using these Redstone builds on your Surface, that you like the newer builds better. And ideally you want to be on the newer builds on all your devices because they've just got more features, and things like Action Center and notifications and all these kind of things are much better on the newer builds. And while they're not enough to make a difference to anybody choosing Windows 10 mobiles and OS, they are nice improvements, so that when they do launch big new features next year, they've got a stable, reliable, and up-to-date OS as the sort of the backbone for that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key thing here, isn't it? They need stability. I mean, ever since Windows Phone, now Windows 10 Mobile launched, it's always been every evolution of it has been kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. They keep changing the application platform. I think UWP is really important, and I think it's a good thing that they've done that. And while apps do run on Windows Phone, I think Windows Phone 7 apps did run on Windows Phone 8, and Windows Phone 8 apps will run on Windows 10 Mobile, but it's all kind of through backwards compatibility. It's really, if you want to write new modern apps, you've got to keep changing. And Windows Phone 7 was based on kind of Windows CE, which is what old Windows Mobile was. Then Windows Phone 8 came along, which was more closely tied to the Windows 8 operating system, and now Windows 10 Mobile, which basically is the Windows One Windows. But again, it's another shift in direction. So I think from now on, it's really got to be stable, and also, to start bringing new features. we really do compromise. I mean, I play around with the iOS devices, and I don't like the experience. I don't want to be with Android because I don't want my data going to Google. Windows 10 Mobile is my platform of choice, but I don't have a mobile payment system. There are apps that I would like that just aren't there, so I'm compromising all the time.
Yeah, that's right. That's the word there is compromising. That there are certain things that you compromised on, but for someone like us at this point, I'd rather accept those compromises and use the OS than use an alternative.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I think it is going to be interesting. I mean, Redstone 1, I haven't seen the mobile builds firsthand, but from what I see of the desktop, I like the way it's going. So hopefully that will go some way to bringing back some of the kind of features that have been dropped from Windows Phone 8. And then Redstone 2 will, it really just kind of needs to build on that and build momentum.
Yeah, that's right. So the things are going in the right direction. Whether it's a long term, it's enough, I don't know. But I think Microsoft's goal really isn't to have a separate OS for phone and a separate OS for PC. It's one OS, isn't it? It's just that suits the device, so they don't have to say that the Windows 10 mobile market share is whatever. They just said it's the Windows 10 market share. So development isn't segregated off, so hasn't got a huge cost center applied to it for not. It's just it's in the OS division.
Yeah. I mean, it's also going to be interesting as well. I don't suspect for 1 minute it's going to have quite the repercussions that the Microsoft antitrust case did have, but the EU is bringing antitrust measures against allegations against Android, and you can understand why. It's if you want to compete in the Android space, you need an operating system that has access to not necessarily Google Play, but certainly Google services like Maps and music and all that sort of thing. If you want to launch an Android device, you have to supply Android services, even if you want to build your own back-end store. You might still want to use Maps, and you can't unless you include the full Google level of services. And that is kind of, for me, that is the exact kind of description of anti-competitive behavior. That the whole point is that it's an open marketplace, that anybody can launch a device that competes. But at the moment, Android is where all the apps and all the developers are. Discounting iOS for a moment, the only way you can possibly launch a device is if you include Google services, and if you don't, the only way you can do it, all right, so Amazon have done it, but my gosh, that's a huge company with unlimited financial resources behind them. Say it's just really tough to compete in that space if you have to pay Google to provide their services.
I mean, and a good point really there with Amazon, that the Fire tablets are doing reasonably well. I think they continued to sell those, but the phone didn't do very well, did it?
No, exactly.
And that wasn't really a case of having to get developers to port anything across. All they really had to do was submit their app to the Amazon store. So and even that was hard to get people to do.
Yeah, and it just means that if I want to launch a new Android phone, but I want access to the Google Play Store so that my customers have access to the huge number of applications that are widely available, but I want to do a deal with Microsoft and provide Bing services for maps and driving directions and music, and Android wouldn't let me Google wouldn't let me use their Play Store under those conditions.
Yeah, I mean that would be, I guess, is Microsoft's fallback position, isn't it? If they really if mobile goes completely wrong, then is to do an Android, or is to offer those services for Android devices.
Yeah, and you saw
alternative.
and you saw Nokia try and do that, and it was just a mess. It launched, yes, it was an Android operating system, but developers had to resubmit their apps into the Nokia marketplace, and it's bad enough trying to persuade people to write for 3 platforms, but if you've got to write an app once on under Android, but then submit it to 10 different marketplaces, just
Yeah.
And how do you then monitor and make sure that you've got the revenue coming in on time, and it just becomes a mess. So it will be interesting to see, whether or not this, the anti-competitive charges actually come to anything. I think there was certainly a case to answer. Whether or not they need any, whether or not there's any repercussions, I don't know.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling the EU doesn't have the same teeth that they did when they stopped Microsoft including Windows Media Player in Windows, whatever it was. Was it Windows XP? Yes, it was XP.
Yeah, Windows Windows XP N, and Windows Vista N, and Windows 7 N.
Whoever thought that was helping anybody? But that just shows you from the time that the initial case was brought to and how the market had changed by the time that we got to Windows 7 N. Completely pointless exercise if not including Windows Media Player. It just had no effect for anybody. But that's because the market changed. So yeah, maybe the antitrust will have some impact. We'll have to see. Somebody that is releasing new apps for Windows 10 is Facebook, with a new suite of apps for the desktop, and Instagram loses the beta tag for the phone as well. So I don't know if you're a Facebook user.
No,
not really, are you?
No, not on Facebook.
Yeah,
I think I'm the last person on the planet that's not. But
yeah. Well, they were trying to convert you with the new Windows 10 app. So they've launched a Messenger app and a Facebook app for Windows 10, and like I said, the Instagram app that was available as a beta is now just the default app for Windows 10 for the Instagram app. There was an old Windows Phone 8 one before. So just looking at the desktop one first, or the PC one, I should say. Interesting that this is a port of the iOS app through there, but it's not using. I forgot the bridge now. Not Centennial, is it? Centennial's the PC.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. Me, Gary.
Yeah, well, this isn't using the bridge. This is using their own porting technology. And now, hopefully, that means that the apps get updated more frequently. So this isn't just a one-off that we're going to get effectively a port of the iPhone version from April 2016, and this time next year the iPhone has had 50 iterations, and the Windows one is still on the April 2016 one. I hope that isn't the case, and I hope their cross-platform technology means that they can update all the platforms at the same time, which would be good. But anyway, I've used this, and it's very much like the iOS version. I found it a bit slower than the older version. It feels slower, and I don't know if that's just me, but this is on the Surface Pro 3 as well, so it's I'm using it on a decent device, but it has got all the features you'd expect. So I mean, I think it's good that there's a current and up-to-date app. I think that's what we can say about that, really. It works, and you can get to groups, and you can get to pages, which I don't think pages were in the previous app, but everything works on it, and you get notifications, and you can upload photos. It seems a bit better. You're not being a Facebook user, you haven't seen this problem, but I've noticed this with the previous version of the app, that it wasn't a universal app, it was a Windows 8 one app. Cortana's just listening to me. I must say but yeah, I found it would forget the username and password very often. So, and it wasn't just on Surface, it was on all my devices. So you put username and password in, and then maybe you come to use the app again later that day, and you have to put username and password again. It gets really annoying, that. So this doesn't do that, and it also works with the two-factor authentication, which is good. Yeah, it just works. It works fine. I'm not a big fan of Facebook in general, but I do use it for some of the family stuff, and we've got a TDL page, and I uploaded some photos and everything. It works fine. And the Messenger app, I think, is similar. That works fine as well. The Instagram app, that again looks like an iOS app. I think the dialog boxes and everything look like iOS, and that just works fine. There's nothing major on that. I think it's important that they do keep these apps, they make them available for mobile as well. Because I know my son is a big Instagram user, and it's one of the things that I think would, if that wasn't available, or he was always annoyed by the old version, didn't do something about direct messages correctly or whatever. It just used to annoy him. So now that's fixed. So I think it's good. I think it's a shame they're not universal apps, because they don't work on the dock and Continuum. so you can't get them up full screen on there, which is a shame. But they've got their own platform, and if it means that they keep all the platforms in sync, then I think that's a good thing for Windows.
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we just talked about it. These apps, they need to exist. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think they're reasonably good quality, and I think I quite like it. So I think that's good. I mean, if you look at the quality of the apps for Windows 10, I think is a lot better than we were getting Windows 8. I'm sort of thinking Twitter and Facebook. I mean, just the Twitter app itself, it's not brilliant, but it's certainly better. The Windows 10 version is way better than the Windows Phone 8.1 version.
Yes, yeah.
And that's something you've got to use if you're on the Redstone build.
Yes.
I'm surprised they've not fixed that yet.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think things have settled down. Now they get this bug bash out of the way, I think we should start to see more frequent builds again.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Yes, hopefully we should. And something else that we talked about last week, I don't know if we mentioned this on the show last week, but there was an update to the there was an update to the Groove Music app. I don't think we did talk about this last week, actually. The Groove team are now using the fast and slow rings to distribute app updates, which I think is pretty good. So before they push it out to general release, you can now get the updates to the fast ring. So last week, I think it was just before we recorded last week, they pushed out an update just for the fast ring. So this hasn't gone out to everybody yet. This is just fast ring users. So this was 3.6.2078, which improves the subscription state across devices, they say. So when you sign in, everything works quicker. And also the retry logic for when you've got a poor connection is improved as well. I don't know if you found this with Groove Music, but quite often I go to play a track, usually when I'm in my car, just setting off from home, where it's got a very weak Wi-Fi signal because the car's on the drive. And it can get really confused with the state that it's in, and will refuse to play anything. Any online music, because there was an internet connection because it thought through the Wi-Fi, but it was just out of range because I'm driving off, and it struggles to sign in then. I don't know if you've noticed that, but that should be fixed in this build.
Yes, yeah. No, I haven't seen it with Groove, but I have seen it sometimes with my podcasting app where it thinks it's got it. It thinks it's or in the middle of downloading, and then it's downloaded it, but actually it wasn't. It thinks it was on Wi-Fi, and as soon as the Wi-Fi disappears, it just stops playing.
Yeah, I've had that with Groove occasionally as well. So this build should do that, and they've improved some of the metadata stuff as well. So better metadata, improved artwork. It also has a color option, which you can have a default color scheme based on the OS. So I think that's the dark and light mode, isn't it? There was dark and light mode. There's now dark, light, and system. So you wouldn't have seen that on your, because you've not got Redstone builds on your phone yet, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
Are you sure you don't want to try that?
Not yet. I can't live without Tweetium, so otherwise I might be tempted at this point.
Yeah, well, I did roll back, but But anyway, so there's the dark and light settings in there now. And anyway, I think this is not just on the. I should say this isn't just the phone build. This is the general build anyway. So that dark and light mode is part of the PC build. So you can try that on your Surface.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still they've got known issues with the DRM stuff, which we talked about last week. Which Netflix has been working fine on my device since I did that app reset that we talked about last week.
Sorry, say that again.
The Netflix has been working fine on my device since I did the app reset last week.
Yeah, no, same here. Yeah, I think that was a good find. That was.
Yeah, it's just I think that won't work for mobile, will it? If you, like you said last week, we can't get that app reset option.
Yeah, no, hopefully that will make an appearance.
Yeah. So I think that was all the items we had for this week. It's only a short gap between that we recorded last week because we recorded late last week.
Yes.
So we should be back to our normal schedule next week. You never know, we might have a build later on this week, or they may well now just keep these the results of the telemetry from all the bug bash, and then we may see a bit of a wait now for the next one.
Yes, yeah, I think you might be right. Actually, maybe there will be one towards the end of the week. I can't remember if they said how long this bug bash was going to carry on for.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks. I seem to remember.
Yeah, what will be interesting actually is see if this one actually goes out to the slow ring, because there's any major issues with it.
No, it's just that DRM issue, really. I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bug bash. Next 4 days. So over the course of the next 4 days, we're pushing multiple quests. So I think those quests are still there and still active. So I think it's a fairly short period of time then. So maybe they'll take that feedback and get a new build out. I'll tell you what I haven't seen though is if I go through the logs on the website, you can see the Edge build, the version of the Edge build that the browser is using is often the PC build. So, for example, if you go on to TDL now with a Redstone build, a current Redstone build, it was showing up as the version of Edge will be showing up as 14.14332. So when I go in the log files, I can sometimes see builds that aren't public on TDL, which are usually from Redmond area. So it's someone in Redmond is browsing the web from a build that we don't have yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes see those during the week before the build's release. So on Tuesday and on Wednesday, you can see those events, and then the build will come out on Thursday, say. But I haven't seen anything later than 14.332 at the moment, so which makes me think there isn't one in use in Redmond just yet. Anyway, not that they've hit the site. I mean, it's not very scientific, but each week I've generally have seen 1 or 2 builds higher than the public release build, and I haven't seen anything this week.
Yeah,
so there may not be.
Yeah. Actually, just there's an interesting quest actually currently in the feedback hub for people trialing the Redstone builds. So when a new build installs, the first time you log on, you get the hi message, and we're getting things ready. And what they're doing is there's a setting that you can switch on, which means when Windows installs a new build, it will temporarily cache your logon details, so that when the build's finished installing, it will then actually log back on. So that when you actually come to use your PC, it's actually ready and waiting to go.
That'd be better, isn't it? Yeah, because that's. I mean, even on the surface, it's not too long, but on the little on Core 8 and Link 7, I think that's quite a delay on that.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. You have to do a registry key to implement that, but yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing. It does it while the PC is locked as well, so it doesn't make the PC less secure. It just means it'll be ready and waiting. So. Currently there's only 2 quests, so it may be that things are winding down.
Yeah, I think you could be right. Yeah, I did a couple last week. Right, well, I think that's everything we've got time for this week. So I've got a feeling Gary might be back next week, actually.
Yeah, it'd be good to get him back on the show and catch up with all his Xamarin news.
Yeah, there's quite a lot for him to talk about. So we might have a new build to play with as well. I should have a couple of videos that a couple of Acer devices that I've got for review. I'll have a look at that. And a nice little waterproof Bluetooth speaker that I'm going to have a look at as well.
Yes.
That's got a curious accent.
One thing I do have to do, unfortunately, is I have to return my Lumia.
Oh, yes, that's right.
950. Yeah. So, yes, it's sad to see that one go.
Yeah, so you've been, what you say, your ideal sort of device then?
Yeah, particularly, I mean, definitely the next device for me compared to the 930. Just it's so much lighter and thinner compared to the 930, and yeah, it's not necessarily massive difference in terms of real performance or experience, but just it just feels a much nicer device. You always kind of feel it when you go back to your old device, and going back from the 950 XL to the 930 was definitely for me a much more comfortable experience. But I think the 950 just feels really nice.
And then I suppose you've got a bit of dilemma now. What do you do? Do you wait and see if a new there's another Lumia, or do you wait for a Surface phone, or can you wait?
Yeah, I mean, I think for now I am going to wait. I think I should watch the prices on places like Amazon, because they are starting to fall again. and maybe if it comes down to a good price, I might make the jump. But yeah, I think part of me is thinking really I should wait, see what the Surface phone is. But I mean, if that's not till what, April 2017, that's still quite a wait. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
year effectively, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, certainly in terms of the Surface Pro 4, I'm going to wait and see what the Surface Pro 5 brings, and if it hasn't got anything massively new that attracts me, then I think again I'll be looking for the price drops on the Surface Pro 4.
Yeah, I mean, certainly my Pro 3 is doing the job adequately, really well, I should say, and I feel no desire to change it at the moment.
Yes, yeah.
And that's perhaps the problem why PC sales are down, is that the current set of devices are very good, aren't they? And that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. We talked about Intel Atom, but the core chips are so fast these days that there was really no need to upgrade.
Yeah, unless you've got a specific case, and
Yeah.
this Dell's got an i7 in it, and it's really fast, but it's not hugely faster than the i5 in my Surface.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Redstone 2 brings, because I suspect it'll be, the Surface Pro 4 launch with the Windows Hello cameras. So it'll be interesting if they've got something lined up.
Yeah.
Maybe a purchase system, or I still think that the Windows 10 mobile devices are much better with a fingerprint reader. Yeah, the Windows Hello Retina scans all well and good, but when I want to pay for something, I don't really want to hold my phone up in front of my eyes. I just want to, use my fingerprint.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the Retina thing and the Windows Hello on the 950 XL is good, but I use it half the time. Yeah, I think I probably use a fingerprint all the time.
Yes, yeah.
Right, well, we should be back next week, Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. Hopefully with Gary to join us and filling us on his travels, his tour, promoting his new single. And you can email me, ian@thisislife.com. Where can we find you, Jason?
You can find me. Oh, sorry, pardon me. You can find me on Twitter @DatabaseChase.
Great stuff. So until next week, we'll see you then.
Yeah. Cheers, Ian.